Hey guys, welcome to episode 101. That's right, it's me. You can see me. We are now recording. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Hey, now I get to say it for the first time. Like and subscribe our YouTube channel as we've moved into the next 100 episodes. We appreciate all of you. And as a thank you, I've got a very special guest on today. I've got Carla Kopp, the founder of Weird Giraffe Games, and we're going to talk about a game that she's got coming to Kickstarter soon. Reef Ruins. It's a game that is kind of been playtesting. She sent me a prototype, and we've been talking about it. So, Carla, how are you?
Hey, I am super tired, but that's fine. I'm getting ready for a Kickstarter. I'm moving. I'm dealing with life in general, but that's me.
Aren't we all? Yes, absolutely. Moving and a Kickstarter. That is crazy. That is crazy. That's a lot. That's a whole lot. If I've learned anything from our previous guests, is that launching a Kickstarter, whether it's your first or your 100th, it's very daunting.
Yeah, I've mostly gotten it down at this point. Like, I think this is 15 or 16 or something in there, but everything's always changing. Like, this industry is weird where like you think you got it down, but like a new month comes out and you're like, oh, there's pirates. Oh, now there's strikes everywhere. Now, how do I deal with this new thing? It's never boring, at least.
Right.
I would really like it if at one point in time there's like a week that goes by where I'm like, yeah, I just got this.
That would be great. That would be awesome, right? It's interesting you bring that up because we just were experiencing just a week or so ago. There was a dock strike here in the United States that was resolved quickly, thankfully. So hopefully it won't impact the shipping of your game in the future and all the ones that are coming out. So let's begin here. I just learned this today. I was reading this about you and I did not realize you're the founder of Weird Giraffe Games.
I mean, I do all the things here. I am Weird Giraffe Games.
That is fantastic. Weird Giraffe Games, which is home to one of my favorite games, that's Big Easy Busking. As a native of Louisiana, originally from Baton Rouge, so I can't claim New Orleans, but I absolutely love that game. So thank you to you and your team.
Well, thank you. Yeah, like Big Easy Busking is one of my favorites. It's actually like one of our least popular titles, mainly because it dropped in retail in April 2020.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like the worst time for a game to come out.
worst.
Stores are open.
Yep. So tell us a little bit about how you started Weird Giraffe Games and the mission of the company.
So I started Weird Giraffe Games because I go to conventions. I was at a convention called Dragon Con in Atlanta.
Atlanta, yeah.
Yeah. And I would just go on like panel to panel, and there was this one panel about how to design a game. And I went in there, and there was like this little 9-year-old kid that just kept asking questions. And I just got like really inspired because I was like, you know what? If a 9-year-old child can do this, maybe I can too. And then we had a 4-hour trip home where everyone was stuck in a car with me, and I forced them to design a game. It ended up being the first game that I kickstarted called Super Hack Override. And from there, I was just pretty much addicted to both game design and the community. Like, I really enjoyed like how open the community was. Like, I was able to join it and make a bunch of really cool friends. It was like back in the day when Twitter was like actually really amazing, and you could just like find all these people just to talk game design and then go to conventions and be with your 100 or 200 best friends.
You have an interesting, just reading your website is an interesting mission statement. You talk a lot about diversity. You even have a section where you have photographs of people that maybe no longer are with Weird Giraffe, but have been integral in the journey. Talk a little bit about that. I think that's something that makes your company unique.
Well, there's a lot of things I've learned in this industry, like by going to conventions and like being at the booth, is that like a lot of people don't know that there's like more people behind the games than there actually are.
Sure.
Like, I've been to a convention before where I'm like, oh yeah, I made this. And they're like, you do such great artwork. And I'm like, well, I didn't do that part. And then we go through the list of like the things that I did do. But yeah, like a game is not just one person. It's not just 5 people. It's probably like 100 people because like I play test these a lot. I get a lot of feedback and all of this stuff. And I think being able to see that is really important, especially for diverse people. Well, when I first started going to conventions as a board game designer, I remember going into my first Unpub room and I walked in and I was nervous and I was the only lady there and I ended up just walking back out and hiding in the bathroom for like 5 minutes to give myself like a pep talk before like I went back in because it was just very intimidating.
Sure.
And I really don't want other people to have that same experience. And one way we can make it so that other people don't have that experience is just to like put diverse people on covers, put them like behind the scenes of it. Like I work with a lot of diverse designers and editors, illustrators, graphic designers. I try to like go through all the people, like playtesters too, like making sure like they see the game, experience it, or like even design it. And so it comes from that perspective because like getting the different perspectives gets more people like that either interested in games or to know like they belong too.
Awesome. So let's dive in. So just for everyone, Reef and Ruins right here. It doesn't get more diverse than otters and hydras. So give us an overview of Reef and Ruins for us, please.
So it's in my Wicked and Wise universe.
Okay.
Wicked and Wise, it's about dragons and mice playing a card game, a trick-taking game, actually. And so there's also hydras out in the wild, as you all know. And hydras are in the water, so they can't really play card games as well, but they can play dice games. So that's part of where the story comes from. And for any of you that like are really good at Latin, you'd know that the name for otter is enhydra, because like historically they've been friends throughout the years.
Correct.
So otters and hydras are coming together to play this little roll and write game. I think the game is a little bit different because there's 3 different sheets that interact. So it's kind of like Twilight Inscription with the 4 sheets, except it's way more accessible. I do like Twilight Inscription, but like it could be a lot the first or like times, you know, whatever. But here I tried to go for like something that was like a lot more accessible. Like, oh, okay, you can like bring your spouse in or like your friends that don't play games as much. But you can still play with like regular gamers too, because it's like still like crunchy and has all the combos and such.
So it's interesting. My wife and I played it a couple times. I think the first time we played it, it was a bit of a struggle because there's so many options, right? You roll the 3 dice, which represent the 3 heads of the Hydra, which I love, by the way. So you could do this, or you could do this, or you could do this. There's so many options, and we were like really confused. Then we sat down with the rules a little bit more and was like, okay, wait a minute. And then, unfortunately, I know you said it in the rule book that you had, that you put the lore in the back of the book because not everyone learns well through lore. We do. So it started to make sense.
Get that ingrained. Like I'm working on the rule book because like, well, in the past I always go like lore heavy and then people are like, what are things? And so like I stripped out all the lore and then like I want to like put it back in, but like in a like regular way and not a like my brain way because my brain is all theme.
Right. Okay, I get that. Nope, you've got to balance theme and mechanics. Absolutely. But like you said, so there's 3 sheets. Walk us through the 3 sheets and how they work together.
The first sheet are the ship ruins, and each of the ship ruins, there's 6 of them. They're represented by the 6 different dice. I'm actually trying to like get them. Like they're not in order in my box because why would they be? But anyway, so yeah. We have like the ship ruins sheet, and there's like 1, 2, 3. So each of the ship ruins needs to be unlocked by one of the dice, and then they each have a little puzzle. Like the first one needs to have things that are the same, the second one needs to have things that are different, etc. So there's 6 little puzzles that you do. To play into these, you have to use one of the dice. So if you have like a 1, 2, 3, you could go into the 1 ruin and put the 2 and the 3 dice. You can't put them together because they're not the same, so you could put like a 2 here and a 3 there. So that's how the ship ruins work. They get, if you do the things that you're supposed to, you can get coins, and based on how well you like finish them up, you'll get more coins, and then you write your coins here. And then the next sheet are these enchantments. And if you put these beside each other in the right way, because I'm on a camera and it's backwards for me.
That's right.
So each of the enchantments lines up with a ruin. And the enchantments are super easy. They go from 7 to 12, so you have to add numbers together. But you add them together and you get a little bonus because otters are magical, as are hydras. And
They are. They are magical.
I mean, haven't you ever seen them juggle?
Absolutely. I want to say before you go forward, it's really important to listeners and your backers, future backers of the game. It's important to put these sheets in the right order because we didn't. So that was part of the problem. The first time we were playing, it's like, wait a minute, what? There's dotted lines that indicate how they connect. So that's really important to note. So put them in the right order. Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. So the enchantments are multipliers, right?
Yeah. So some of them are multipliers where you can multiply the ship ruin score by up to 5, which is a lot. You don't automatically get up to 5. You have to like work your way and spend some time enchanting. And along the way, you can get things like shells and pearls and like extra dice. The shells are modifiers. You always get 2 shells at a time because they're mollusks. And then you can use them 1 at a time because you are an intelligent hydra and you could choose to only use half. I have like all these stories. First off, my one of my graphic designers made these shells because before I had them as fish and I was like, otters have 2 hands, 1 for each fish. And she's like, don't do that. They could be mollusk instead. It's more, it just makes sense. And I'm like, thank you, ma'am, for telling me about how my game works better. But now they're shells. Makes more sense.
It does, actually. It makes a lot of sense.
I work with intelligent people that are good.
And it's interesting because the rules say that when you do an enchantment, you automatically get 2 shells that you can use. And the shells you use for plus or minus 1 on a die roll, right? Yep. So we were playing this, we're like, man, that is overpowering. And trust me, it's not. It's not. You'll be fine.
Well, one thing in my games is like, I want people to feel cool. Like, I want you to have those cool moves. I don't want you just to have 1 a turn, or not 1 a turn because that would be everything. 1 a game. I want you to feel like you're empowered to do the things you want to do. And maybe the dice don't roll in your favor, but like you gather a bunch of shells and then you do the things anyway. Maybe use all up, but like, you won't be like pushed into like getting nothing.
Right.
There's always going to be something to do.
And there's so much going on. I think that was the challenge. It's realizing, okay, so you roll 3 dice, you've got these 3 numbers, but some of them have to be used in combination, i.e. the enchantments, even in the ruins, because you have to use 1 to unlock a ruin, like you said, and then you can put that number in that same ruin, following the rules within the ruins. I'm looking down because I have all 3 sheets in front of me so I can reference them. And it was like, okay, it starts to click. I think the word everyone's using is combo-tastic.
Yeah, there's combo-tastic.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot going on. So then I guess we should talk about the 3rd sheet.
Yes. So there's reefs.
Yeah.
Reef and ruins. The reefs, there's different ones. Like this is one set that is a more polyomino one. And there's also this one, which is like more of a spatial puzzle kind of thing. With this one, you start in the center and you can go outward to whatever numbers, and then you can go next to anything that you've already done. So once you take 1, you can go next to the free space that you've already gotten or the one that you did before. And what you're trying to do in this one is to make columns and rows that are filled in, and also get these little special green ones because they give you pearls, and pearls are magical also. And they give you little bonuses down here. They can just be straight points. They could be like numbers that you could put back into the reef or into the ruins. They could be enchantments, things like that. So this is one way where the combos come in, because you could go here, fill in a row, get an enchantment, go into the enchantment, get another pearl, come back here, and go back and forth.
Yes, that happened to me once, and I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, oh, wait, but I still have another pearl. But wait, I have more. It is important to note that in the reef, when you roll whatever number you roll that you're going to use, it has to be orthogonally adjacent to a number, either the free space or a number that you previously shaded in that reef. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Yes. No diagonals in corals and reefs.
I mean, if you've been in coral reefs, like you will get hurt if you do not go.
That's true. So thematically, all right, so you've got the otter that's leading you along, and there's this adorable little otter that you have on the kind of the round marker, and then the hydras are the three heads are represented by the three dice. The ruins make a lot of sense, and the fact that they're enchanting them. So how does the reef fit into the theme here?
So you can envision the reef as like a coral reef where like if you go the wrong way, like you'll get hurt by the coral, where the otters are kind of directing the hydras on how to get the pearls. So like you have to do what the otters say, but if you do, you can get the pearls that are located in the reef.
Very cool. And so, talking about the inspiration to your game, you said that it was in the same world as one of your previous games. Was that, like, did you know you wanted to do that from the beginning, or did that come later?
That came later, actually. So one of the things that the pandemic did is it kind of messed up my brain, and I only make games about birds. It's fine. I'm figuring it out. So originally this was called Sandpiper Villa, and it was about sandpipers having condos on the beach, because I had this little idea in my head where the dice are different sized birds. And if you can envision birds advertising, like the bigger the sign, like either the more birds you need or the bigger birds.
Sure.
So like a size 12 sign, like you could get 2 size 6 birds to hold that up, or like a size 5, 4, and 3 bird.
Okay.
Hold it up. And that was like the thing that was going on in my head at the time. And then I realized a while ago, like I made a game about ravens, a game about flamingos, a game about firebirds, about waterbirds. Like I have too many bird games. Actually, one of my consultants was like, hey, you should make a Kickstarter that's like, here's these 12 bird games that my, crazy brain came up with when I was like locked in my house. I've not done that yet. So I was trying to like see like where in my universes things fit in. And it was a whole like 3 dice thing where it was like, oh, there's 3 dice and there's usually 3 heads to the Hydra. There can actually be 4 or 5, but the typical amount for hydras is 3. So I started with that, and it also is very like logical. And the Wicked and Wise universe, it has Wicked and Wise, which is like a trick-taking game, which is very for the people that are very trick-taking and take it seriously. It's about like counting cards and like playing the right one, like giving up this so you can take that trick and that sort of thing. And there's also logic and lore, which is, it actually says it in the name, logic. It's a 2-player logic game where you have to like figure out the clues to put your cards in a row. So I thought this like it fit in thematically with like the 3 and the Hydra, and also with the logic. And then I read about the otters, the otter's Latin name, and it was just like, oh, that's obvious now.
That's fantastic. So where did you go from, or was it always design-wise a roll and write, or was it a dice rolling and a move, or how was it early on before it became hydras?
It was always a roll and write.
Okay.
Yeah, and it always had. Well, I jammed everything into one sheet, but it always had like the 3 areas that you could go in. There actually was like 1 to 14, but I realized that like that it was much better as 1 to 12. But it actually was pretty close to this, other than like minor changes like that. Like the reefs definitely changed. Like if anyone looks at like any previews, you'll notice that the reefs that were sent out are B and C. What does that mean? I do have A. But I think I'm holding that one behind. That was my first one I designed. It's super simple, and it's actually involves other players. And I think that might either be like a Kickstarter like stretch goal, or just like another expansion-y thing. And I say like expansion-y thing because I designed this very specifically for the 3 sheets where there's ruins and enchantments and reefs. And like in this one, you can sub out the reefs for whatever, but like I have other ship ruins and other enchantments. Like you can just put them all together and choose one of each of the types, and then you have like a very modular game.
So I want to ask you about how you approach game design, right? I'm kind of zooming out for just a minute, big picture. You mentioned you had a lot of bird themed games. Do you try to fit the theme into a mechanic, or do you try to find a mechanic that fits your theme? How do you approach designing a game in general?
Well, so I've been doing this a lot. So I have done like the whole gambit of things. Generally, I get like a thematic like thing with the like birds holding up the signs and stuff, and then I figure out how that works out. But I have done mechanics first design where I have like a list of mechanics that like I just really like I really want to do like an I split you choose game, but like every time I try to put that in I ended up taking it out because it's wrong, like but it's fine, I'll eventually make my I split. I've also done like weird things where like I'll get a color palette and like design a game around a color palette, or very like components themed. Like one of my games, Roar and Write, I actually, a manufacturer was emailing about custom dice, and I was like, whoa, I really just want an excuse to make custom dice. So what game would fit in this? And I originally do just like 2 or 3 dice in a bag and like a tiny game, and then it went larger than that. But like that's where it started. It was like, what's the fewest amount of dice that I can use to make a game? And at that point it was 6. I'm getting smaller apparently because this one has 3. But yeah, it's can be anything. Just like one of the things I really like is doing the name first, because I'm also really bad at names. But I've come up with some like really good names where it's like, okay, well that's just the game, like Polylominos.
Yeah.
A lot of the names are really silly, and like Flamingo. It's about flamingos finding friends. They're mingling.
Nice.
The one thing that is like sometimes bad about the name, like I have Puffins Love Muffins, and I've been working on that for a while. But like my spouse is always like, I absolutely hate that, because you think of Puffins Love Muffins and you think of like a game for 6-year-olds, and that is a heavy euro. And it's like, well, Puffins love muffins, so they make them to trade them for souvenirs at the local souvenir shop. And then they take the souvenirs home to organize them on their shelf. And like, that works for my brain, but like, it's a bit too cutesy and also heavy at the same time for it to be a game that I've released yet. So we're working up to it.
You're working on it. You're working up to it. I love it.
I want you to look at a game and like, just because like this one has a like axolotl like headed hydra and it's cute doesn't mean that it's for babies. Like people can like cute things that are colorful, and they're not just for 6-year-olds. Because like, those sorts of things appeal to like women a lot more. Like women love colors, like generally. It's kind of cool to see at conventions where like my booth is typically pretty rainbow and you could like see who is attracted to the colors. But yeah, like that's another way to make the games like more diverse and open for other people. It's just like, let's make them colorful and pretty to look at, but they don't have to be like the colors mean like for children. And like it's shades of brown, that's a euro.
This is a great segue, because the next question I wanted to ask you was about the art specifically of Reef Ruins. Who did the art, the concept? Walk us through the specific art for Reef Ruins.
So I had one of my graphic designers was working with me. I had made my prototype in PowerPoint because I'm an engineer. I know how to use PowerPoint really well. And so she went through and made it a little bit more pretty. But then one of my other I work with like a number of illustrators and graphic designers, and John Merchant was like, oh, I saw you posting about this and I would love to do all the artwork. I have all these ideas. And I was like, great, cool. So he just came up with this concept. Originally, all the hydras had different kinds of heads. And I was like, no, they're all axolotl heads for this one.
Right.
Because that's cute. But yeah, like he has worked with me for at least 5 or so years, and I really like working with him because like he gets me. Like I'll just tell him what I want and he'll come back with like some crazy like rainbow thing, and I'm like, yes, perfect. Because normally I need to like beg artists and stuff to be like, oh, more bright, more colors. Like, it's fine to use your colors. Okay. I want colors. That's
Don't
cool.
be afraid of color.
Yeah. Cause like, well, on one hand, if anyone is colorblind or anything, using like bright different colors is really helpful. But it's also helpful if people like don't have enough light, or just like to differentiate things, like, because it just takes you out of the fun. If you're like, is that like dark blue or is that black? Like, when you're thinking thoughts like that, you're not having fun, and I would rather you just have fun. So I try to take out all those things, and yeah, just if you focus on accessibility for like all different kinds of things, then everyone will just have more fun in the overall.
So I want to talk about the components to Reef and Ruins. It connects to design and art, and it also talks about color, because I love it. I think it's great. Have you finalized the dice and the pencils for this game?
Not yet. Usually for Kickstarter stuff, I see how well the Kickstarter does, because right now, well, the dice I sent out were like some swirly dice, but like if it does really well, maybe there'll be glitter, maybe there'll be like brighter colors or bigger, or, you know.
So
there's other things you can do with dice if you want to spend lots of money.
the pencils that you sent to me are these different hues of blue and aquamarine. There's a white one, but I just dropped it on the floor, so on accident. But then even the dice, they're in a plastic bag, so you can't see them, but they're beautiful blue. They do have a shimmer, almost like the deep ocean. So I thought that was really cool and unique. Even in the components that you're handling, convey artistically and visually the overall theme and design of the game, and I thought that was brilliant. Thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you.
I'm hoping that's intentional.
Like, I definitely like try to make you like immersed in the experience. Yeah. Like, why have dice that don't match when they could? And why not? Like, one of the things that didn't match that much was this little otter, because I had one of my friends make it. But like, usually for meeples, I have them like I have like a mock-up on the Kickstarter where it'll be brown and have like little markings and stuff. But I like green, so this is why they're green right now.
But you even mentioned that it hadn't been finalized. You had like a little...
Yeah. Like, so nothing is cool. Finalized until it's finalized.
Right.
Like, if anyone comes up with like more things, or like, oh yeah, like pencils need to be like this size for this reason, or, you know, whatever, there's going to be lots of Kickstarter comments, and I make sure to like, incorporate all of that, because like I have my own people that I play test with, and I have my own ideas, but like other people like know more about things, and I take that into consideration too. How much
play testing have you done for Reef and Ruins?
This game came together rather quickly, so I made it last September, so like a year ago, but I've been like carrying it around the country. This is actually really easy to carry, because it's 3 dice and pencils and paper. So like I've gone to at least 10 conventions, maybe more than that. It's like, what is my life? I know that I've taken this to 2 design retreats, which is like a week thing where we play test the whole week. So yeah, a lot. I also play it with like my local group, where as much as I can get them to play the same game repeatedly. So yeah, like a year's worth of like maybe once a week, maybe more than that, depending on like the conference. Because like people will see me like at a conference playing it, and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm rolling right. I want to play too." So it'll be like, okay, we'll play again, maybe with like some minor change or something. It's also really easy to do roll and writes at conferences, because normally if you're at a hotel, there's a printer.
Right. And you can always find pencils. Yep.
Yeah, the hotel has like pens everywhere.
I love that.
If you want to change it, I just bring my computer and print out a new one, and in like an hour I have another version.
That's awesome. So it's coming to Kickstarter October 15th, correct?
Yes.
And that's a Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So tell us about the details, where can people find you, follow you, and get all your other products as well as Reef Ruins?
So I have a website at weirdgiraffegames.com. The Kickstarter will be on Kickstarter. You could search Reef Ruins. I believe the address for it will be, like the quick link will be weirdgiraffegames.com/RR, where you could just put that in and it'll go straight to either the Kickstarter page, or if you listen to this in like months from now, it'll go for the backer kit, like Pledge Manager, or even, you know, if you listen to this for a year from now, probably just straight to the website page where you can buy it. That's why quick links are so fun. They can just change where they go, depending.
Absolutely.
But I'm also sometimes on Twitter and Blue Sky and Facebook as Weird Giraffe Games or Weird Giraffes. But I have a Discord at weirdgiraffegames.com/Discord where we talk about like mental health things, game stuff, and memes. Those are like the three big topics.
That is awesome. That is weirdgiraffegames.com. And you'll find Kickstarter, Reef Ruins, October 15th. It's Tuesday. So that's exciting. Is there anything else any closing remarks that you want to share with our listeners, our viewers now, Carla?
Also with the Kickstarter will be Wicked and Wise Reflections, which is an expansion to Wicked and Wise, and the Wicked and Wise Deluxe, which will be like more fancy and stuff. If you are a fan of either of those or just fans of trick-taking games. But yeah, thanks everyone for listening. I guess like my final things are I try to make like little cutesy things more accessible, in addition to like just gaming in general, like making sure that things are colorblind friendly, have really pretty artwork to try to get people interested in the game, and the rules would definitely be better because, I mean, that's like the Kickstarter process as well. But yeah, if you ever have any questions on game design or just want to talk about games, feel free to reach out to me either on Discord or email. My email is carla@weirdgiraffegames.com. So thanks for listening to me rant about otters and hydras and stuff.
Well, honestly, thank you I have a passion for playtesting games. I love seeing games before they're finalized. And my wife and I are huge playtesters. So we really enjoyed this. It was a great experience. The first run was rough, but then we figured it out. So thanks. Thanks for trusting us. Thanks for coming on the show and starting us on the journey of our next 100 episodes. Live in video. This is great. Guys, thanks again. Don't forget to like, subscribe. I'm pointing. I've never had to do that before, so I don't even know if I'm pointing. So Gareth will do some editing and we'll just point. I'm going to point and there will be something for you to like and subscribe. So thanks again, everyone.